Hi, it's Dr. Lori. This is Real Bargains. This is where I show you the things that real people just like you are finding at estate sales, thrift stores, and antique malls. Oh my gosh, some great real bargains today. Everybody gave me permission to retell their great stories. Here we go. This first story is from, of course, about art glass. I love art glass. Clear art glass from Italy. That's what this is. Here's the thrift store story that I heard from the video caller who called me for an appraisal. She said she's shopping with her sister and her daughter. They're in a thrift store. They're looking for a table, and they see this particular vase sitting on the table. She had just seen some of my videos on Murano art glass, and she said, I don't know, I didn't really know much about it. I learned about it from your videos, but I was a little concerned because I was looking for a table. I wasn't looking for art glass. But I saw it and I thought, I like this. I think I really want it. So I asked my daughter what she thought, my sister what she thought, and they didn't think much of it. She saw the label on it and said, I'm buying that. So she brought over the salesperson. The salesperson said to her, oh yeah, well, $10. You know, blasé, not sure, didn't price it, just said $10. So she said, great, I'll take it. So because this is not the first thing on my video caller's mind, she ends up buying other things at the thrift store and leaves without the vase. Leaves without the vase. Okay, so she's in the car and she said that her sister's on the cell phone trying to look out some information and sees, wow, you know what? We better talk to Dr. Lori and you better go back in there and get that vase. So she goes back into the store and gets the vase, right? She gets it for $10 and she does a video call with me. She knew that it was Barbini glass from Italy, very well known, but she didn't know much more about it other than the fact that it was Italian glass. It's made in the 1970s, which is where I come in the 1970s, and it is in fact art glass. It's clear hand-blown art glass. It's beautiful. It's called quattro fori, and quattro fori means 4 holes. And you can see the 4 of them on the top, and that vase was very, very chic and in the 1970s, and it's making a big revival today. She paid $10 for it, and she was shocked to learn that it's worth $1,250. That's a real bargain. So happy she went back in the shop. This next real bargain comes from a video call, and I thought this story was great. I love jewelry. I love costume jewelry. I love real jewelry. I love glass. I love artwork. I love, porcelains, all different types of things. But this was a great story. So I'm on the video call, and my caller says to me, Dr. Lori, I love costume jewelry, and when I see it at flea markets, I always grab it. So she's at a flea market and she saw these people around this little table and they're kind of discussing the pieces on this table. And this piece, this blue and gold and red piece of costume jewelry set in a gold tone metal is sitting there on the table as all these people are conversing. So she's listening a little bit, just a couple seconds to all these people conversing, and she's thinking, why aren't these people taking that piece? So she takes her hand, she goes over all of their shoulders and she grabs the brooch so she can go off and pay for it. She said, I wasn't going to hang around and discuss it. I wanted it. I thought that was great. So she grabs the brooch, she takes the piece, and she wasn't sure what it was, but she figured it had to be something pretty good. And even if it wasn't a signed piece, she thought, I like it, I'm buying it. Well, go and find out. Once she turned it over, it was indeed a signed piece. It's a Schreiner piece. It's a piece that other costume jewelry designers will copy. It's called the Maltese Cross, and the Maltese Cross is a design that's timeless. You'll see so many jewelry designers, fine jewelry and of course costume jewelry, replicating in all different ways the Maltese Cross. And that cross, of course, has broader arms on the top, and then it gets slender as you go toward the middle of the cross, and it repeats on all 4 sides. It's a beautiful form, a wonderful piece, and this particular piece she got at a flea market. So it's in great condition, no missing pieces, none of the crystals are missing, and of course this piece is marked Schreiner on the back in the characteristic oval Schreiner logo, which is attached on the back to the gold metal. The gold, of course, the gold tone metal. It's really gorgeous. It's a beautiful piece, and the piece she paid, $37. Now I know what you're all thinking. You're all thinking, $37, Dr. Lori, it's a flea market. She wasn't going to bother with negotiating because all those people were around it. And it's kind of like, if other people are around, you want to get in there, get the object, and go. she still had a real bargain on her hands. Even though she paid $37 for the piece, it's worth $750. That's a real bargain too. Schreiner's a very well-known, of course, designer and manufacturer of costume jewelry, active in the latter part of the 20th century. That's a real bargain. This next real bargain is something that I really love, hand-painted porcelains. Hand-painted porcelain pieces, these are plates. So my video caller says to me, Dr. Lori, I was at Goodwill and I saw these pieces, they were on the shelf. And I was so happy because I got 15% off because it was one of the days, you know, one of those super sale days. And then I was able to, in fact, bring the price down for these 9 pieces. And I remembered what you said. You're teaching me so much stuff very fast, Dr. Lori, she said to me. She said, but I remembered what you said. You said, if there's a set, buy as many as you can, buy the whole set if you can. I always say that. Make sure you buy the set, keep the sets intact. And if you, in fact, can see hand painting or handwork, quality is going to drive value. She said, with all of my discounts, I got them down to 99 cents a plate. 99 cents a plate. So I said, well, that's great. She said, when I turned it over, I saw the mark and I recognized the Limoges name. It said Limoges, France, right on the back. It also said T&V for Tresselmann and Voigt. Tresselmann and Voigt, of course, the manufacturers of great porcelains, hand-painted pieces, everything from punch bowls to vases to plates, in, of course, Limoges, France. Limoges, France, great quality ceramics are made in Limoges. So these particular plates were also marked with another mark, and this is where you gotta know what to look for. So when you want to know what to look for, stay right here. The initials on the back of the plate indicate the W, the C, and the E, basically indicate that the same artist painted all the plates. So of course, the monogram or the initials of the artist are there, and that's a big deal too. So that's what I like that she saw, that she recognized, because it indicates that you've got the same hand on all of them, helping to identify that idea of it being a set. So she gets them for 99 cents each. That's about $9, you know, we'll round up. They're all porcelain, they're hand painted. They date to the early years of the 1900s. What are they worth? For 9, they're worth $300 for all 9 plates. That was a real bargain too. And this real bargain comes from France as well. This real bargain is, in fact, was found in one of the baggies on an end cap at an antique mall. So you're walking through the antique mall and there's all kinds of stuff and there's shelves here and shelves there. And there was an end cap at the antique mall, and my video caller who called me to get the appraisal said, Dr. Lori, you know, I was able to use the loop. And to, in fact, look and see that on the chain it said Italy, and it said that it had a carat weight, a fineness weight mark, right? 18 karat gold, 14 karat gold. She said, I saw that, so I knew that was good once I had, in fact, purchased the baggie. I said, how much was the baggie? She goes, the baggie full of jewelry, all kinds of pieces, about this big, you know, a baggie. She said it cost me $5. So the baggie was $5 for all the jewelry in the bag, and this was one of the pieces in the bag. So she found the gold necklace, and at the end of the gold necklace is this pendant. And it's a pink glass pendant of Cupid with his arrow. So he's got his bow and arrow, and he, in fact, is signed Lalique. So made by the great French, of course, art house Lalique, named for René Lalique. That pendant, very popular in the middle part of the 1900s, from about 1950 to about the 1970s. And that little Cupid in pink glass, a perfect Valentine's Day gift, that little Cupid in pink glass is a wonderful example and a great real bargain. Why? The Cupid piece is worth $250 and another $250 for the gold chain. That was a real bargain too, to buy all that jewelry in, of course, for $5. Those jewelry jars, jewelry bags, you know, jewelry just together is always a good idea. This next real bargain is from a video caller who called me and wanted to know about this Swedish glass. So this Swedish glass is actually cased glass. Mid-century modern, it was found at Goodwill. 2 of them together, on the same shelf, all by themselves, left alone. No one had picked them over. There were not other things on the shelf. So she said, well, other people must have been at that shelf. They must have utilized that shelf space, so other things might have been there. Why didn't anybody, she couldn't understand, why didn't anybody take those pieces off the shelf and buy them? Well, they're Scandinavian glass, they're mid-century modern, lovely, beautiful, slender form, and then the top for the candles, a really nice piece. The set together, she paid $7.99. What are they worth? $250 for the pair. That was a real bargain too. I liked the blue and clear glass contrast. I like, of course, the flare at the bottom, and I love the form, of course, of where the candles will be held. She said they weren't dirty at all. They were just sitting there alone. So sometimes it just has to go with the taste and what people really want. This next real bargain comes from a video call too, and this came from a thrift store shopping. The gentleman I talked to about these, if you saw him, you'd say, I don't think this guy's collecting dolls. But in fact, he was collecting dolls. And what was funny about this is he said, well, I haven't been to Russia, but I really liked these nesting dolls. Now, I've been to Russia several times, and I want to tell you, there's nesting dolls, matryoshkas everywhere. You cannot get past a storefront or a sidewalk or a street corner without seeing a nesting doll. You can get them for really inexpensive, and you can pay a lot of money for them too. And it all depends on what type and how many dolls are within the nest, if you will. Now, nesting dolls were first made, in fact, to teach children who couldn't read. So they'd learn usually folk tales from the nesting dolls. These nesting dolls are beautiful, and there's 19 of them. And I said, oh, there's 19 of them. He said, yeah, the 19 set of nesting dolls from Russia, which are signed, these that you see here, were part of a larger group that I bought for $30. So I bought these 19, and then I also bought some other items that were also souvenirs from, of course, Russia and other parts of the world. And I talk a lot about souvenir shopping and what you should get and what you shouldn't right here on the channel. This was a great deal. So I said, I'm going to look at the nesting dolls for you. He said, there's 19 of them. I think it's a complete set. And I said, well, 20 would be a complete set. It's typical that 20 would be a complete set. When you look at the bottom, you can see where they were signed. And if you look at the forms, the red and the, of course, gold on these particular pieces, they're indicative of a certain region of course, Russia, where they make these dolls. So there are certain places where they'll make these dolls, and they'll look different depending on where they're made. It's sort of like the way a hoagie or a hero or a cheesesteak, all different cities of the United States. It's the same thing with nesting dolls. It's going to be a little bit different in different places, even though the base is the same. These nesting dolls, of course, are carved from wood, and then they are, in fact, hand painted, and oftentimes they will have some kind of information or didactic, teaching theme or story or tale on their body. The faces are oftentimes the same, the heads are the same, and the colors are the same. And you can see that they are almost a set. 19 of them, and they do stack in. But you can see that there's one missing. He was a little disappointed when I had to break that news, but he still had good news. So for $30, he got many pieces. The nesting dolls, he paid about, $10 if you do the math, for 19 of these nesting dolls from Russia. They date to the late 1900s. Value on the 19 that he has, $250. And that's a real bargain too. Remember, of course, you want to have the complete set. If he had the complete set, the value would have been higher. This next real bargain comes from a video caller, and I remember this so clearly. I'm on the East Coast typically, and my caller was on the West Coast of the United States, and she was kind of late to the video call, and she said, I'm so sorry, can you still talk to me? I'm so sorry. So it was quite late for me. We're in my time zone, not as late for her, and she said, I'm really sorry, something happened. Do you mind talking with me? I said, no, I don't mind, it's fine. So we get on the phone and she says, well, I found this painting. I got this painting. It was at the Goodwill, and it's pandas, and I really liked it. And I thought it was really beautiful. And I was kind of hemming and hawing. I get a lot of things for my family at the thrift store. Kind of really couldn't splurge for, a work of art that I'm not going to resell, that I'm just going to have for my home just because I like it. What can you tell me about it, Dr. Laura? You've been telling me about artwork. And I thought, well, I do like it. Maybe I should take a chance. So I said, okay. I said, let's take a look at it. The brushwork is beautiful. It's oil on canvas. It looks like it is a early to mid 20th century work. And I said, and did you recognize the signature? She says, I don't recognize the signature, Dr. Laura. I was looking at the panda bears. I think they're so cute. They're so cute in the landscape. I liked it so much. And so then she said, oh, okay. I said, okay, well, let's look at this signature, because the signature is by a pretty well-known artist. E. Hoover is a pretty well-known artist. His name is Ellison Hoover, and he was very good friends with an art critic named Thomas Craven. He's a New York painter. He was active in New York and Ohio, and he's active in the early years of the 20th century. A wonderful painter, and you can see the work of art. You can almost go and, touch the fur on these beautiful panda bears. And you can see the work of art was a really nice piece. Pretty big, good size. It was a good size, and this piece was $7 at the Goodwill, framed. Right? So she said, well, for $7, I had to take a chance. She said, and I knew when I was going to have the video call that you'd be able to tell me more about it, and I was hoping that, in fact, it would be worth something. It's worth something. $850 is what it's worth. He's a well-known American artist. I was really happy for her, even though she kept me up kind of late. It was a real bargain, too. I'm Dr. Lori. This is Real Bargains. I hope you find your real bargain real soon.